I know people are tired of seeing my face on this channel, but I'll do whatever it takes to get my kid's story out there. So if you're that bothered, unfollow. But I would never give up on my kids. So many people tell me, like, just try not to think about it. How can you not think about somebody lying on you a bunch of times to the court systems and DSS is thinking, oh, there's no way they could be lying. Ain't nobody gonna call on you this many times. Like, they gonna tell me their self. Like, I wasn't there. Like, I didn't experience any of it. Or people trying to start fights with me and my baby father to prove their case. And I mean start fights. Start fights so they can live in my house. And I'm not having that. And the crazy part is the courts believe that crap. They sitting here calling it evidence. And ever since that day, I have been harassed since April. Well, no, before that, ever since they've been calling consistently down there. Instead of them just saying, okay, we investigated. They doing this out of spite. We're going to leave this mother alone. They kept bothering me over and over again. Making up rules. Even putting me in a situation, making me homeless, telling me I can't be at my own home because my baby father had a charge. And when a lot of people talk to me, they be like, it helps for you not to talk about it. How can I not talk about or think about what happened to my children? I'm used to seeing them every day, helping them with their homework, us going on our little fun time. Me and my daughter having little play dates. My life has never been the same. Yet you have these parents out here that harm their children, sell them for drugs. Even some of their kids die while in their care, and nothing shows. And on top of all of that, they adopted my kids out, 4 of them to be exact, instead of putting them with family, because they made it like it's clear that I couldn't get them. Did all the services that they asked, and they turned it around and flipped it on me. Used me working to provide for my youngest son because he lost his dad as an excuse, as leverage for me not to see my kids. It was a great big mess. Acting like the only way I could see my kids is if I did the time and dates that they were able to do. So yeah, I have decided, after all that's happened, to move away. Because when you sit here and get your kids stripped from you and you know that you love them all is deep in your body, that you have people harassing you. Even I have one last child, and I was even harassed with that. I wasn't treated fairly. I was lied on by his child care. He said that my household caused him to get injured. And then the crazy part is when I tell her I'm to sue her and I'm about to press charges for her lying, she creates a false restraining order and gets it granted just so I can't talk about my kid's story. As you tell me what you would do if you got the Child Protective Service harassing you as soon as they get a call with your name on it. Instead of just thinking, okay, let's go investigate. You don't see anything. You don't see anything for a reason. Because I love my kids. You don't sit here and harass a parent because you like, oh, she had 4 of her children removed. They was removed on your hand. You sat there and had me waste my time doing all those services. All of them. You get mad because the doctor said I ain't have to be on medication. You try to treat me as I'm a neglective parent. And because I don't have the money for a real lawyer, you take advantage of that. And the worst part about my last son is Child Protective Service try to get their hands all in a big old mess. Because they get it to the point where they get the police to steal my evidence. And the reason I say steal, because they broke into my home with a search warrant only to take my child. They went solely off of what this child care had said to them instead of investigating the whole situation like they supposed to do. And I even explained to them that, hey, he's gotten hurt there too. Because I had to tell my worker about it, and she told me to document it until I could remove him. So that way I can report it, because I've been reporting this child care ever since the first day he got injured there. So how low is that? You break into my home with a search warrant and tell me, they're going to investigate the case and all of this, and you didn't investigate anything. Because if it was child abuse, when y'all had me in those handcuffs, I would have went to jail that day. But they used that as a cop-out to get in my home and steal my son. And then using past history to take my child. If you don't know if a parent did something, you don't have the right to just treat them as they guilty. This officer, this dang gone social worker called the police to my home. Just because I told him, listen, I removed him, I reported her, and he's no longer in there trying to put the bruises on me. And not only that, is you keep my evidence, and I can't even prove my case. Talking about my evidence to prove my case is your evidence. What kind of mess is that? So you just thought that I was going to just take this fall for this child care. You just thought that you was just going to frame me and say that my son was hurt in my home when this lady at this child care explained to me that after she picked up my son, she picked up some other kids before she even would get to the child care. So that mess could have happened on the bus. That mess could have happened at the school, but I do know this. He did not look that way. When I put him on that bus, he did not look that way. So how dare you frame me? And not only do you frame me, you steal my child from me. The social workers get involved and tell me I can't be alone with my child, and I didn't even do anything wrong. Neither did Wade. Wade been taking care of my son ever since his father died in that car accident. You know what I'm saying? He been helping me with him. So it's just like, it's not enough, it's not worse that you steal 4 of my children and adopt them out to people they don't even know. When I was supposed to be getting them back. But you sit here and terminate my rights. Do you know what that's like? That somebody snatch your kids from you and you did everything they asked you to do that was required. So they lied to me. And that's a lot to take in. But I remember this stuff like yesterday. I remember Jessica Davis being on the case. I remember Ebony Belfield being on the case. I remember Ebony Belfield getting on the stand and lying on me about my other 4 children, saying that I violated the safety agreement because I was around the subject that I wasn't supposed to be around while having my kids. This lady made me homeless, me and my children. We had somewhere to live. And she come in my house and telling me because my baby father's charge, me and my children had to move out of our own home. So I asked my daughter's father would he take them in until I could find somewhere else to go. And he turns them over and say I neglected them. Yeah, Ebony Belfield gets on the stand and lies and says that she's caught me with the subject with my children at the same time and I violated the safety agreement. When that wasn't even true, I have recordings also proving that she was lying. I have her supervisor saying the same thing that I was saying. My baby father called her and said that I abandoned them. Now, why my baby father would do that, I don't know. Why he was thinking I would get back with him, but you don't do that to your own daughter. My other three, are you serious? All these women out here and you do that. You don't realize what my daughter been through. Living in institutions because she want to be with me. Because she trying to run away. And then you got Jessica Davis gets on the case. And she's up here doing things to my daughter she shouldn't. She gets my daughter on steroids without my permission, causing my daughter to get extremely big. And then want to act like during my visits I couldn't feed her if she was still hungry, acting like she could be diabetic. You're the one to give my child medication without my permission. You thinking because you took my child that you can do whatever you want. Even forcing my daughter to say she was raped by the subject. When my daughter told me, she told them that nothing happened, but they would not stop asking her. They would not stop badgering her. They would not stop harassing her. And she was tired. And my daughter said, Mommy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said that about Daddy because, yeah, we was a family. So they seen him as a father. And she said that I'm sorry about Daddy, but they kept asking me over and over and over and over again. So they was badgering her. They was badgering her. They was pushing her. Because if she told you the truth, she know the truth. My daughter was smart. My daughter would want to go with me to get our little nails done, I get her hair done. We have our little mommy-daughter day. My daughter was smart. She don't have to be tricked. So if she told you that she was not raped, she's not lying. But they was trying to make a case. Make a case because all that hearsay they had. Then the girl lied on me. Then one of the girls that lied on me have the nerve to laugh and joke about making me lose my 4 children. Had the nerve, I had to hear from my auntie and everybody else, be the bigger person. I'm like, be the bigger person. These damn people at social service, these damn people at the courthouse said that I'm a neglected parent because of these people lying on me. They didn't even take time to investigate. They just went by because they were being called out so many times. Them people can't be lying. You can't just go off that. Hell, the social worker that came out for Mello, it was a white guy. When a doctor called on me saying he felt like it was neglect because I wouldn't let my son be his guinea pig with getting scans on his head and saying he needs speech help. The only thing I said about the speech help is I said, listen, I'm working with my son, sir, and I was. I was on every YouTube channel I could find. Yes, I was also trying to get him in school, preschool. But in the meantime, I was working with him at home. So I didn't have a problem with him learning. I didn't have a problem with different ways of learning. I just wanted him to have options. I just didn't want them to be treating my son like he a retard. Just because he's not saying a lot of words. Because he's very smart. And trust me, I was trying to find him help everywhere I could, every options I could think of. and even working with him on his letters and working with him on his numbers and potty training him at home. Because you even got this child care saying, hey, he was in diapers when he started child care. Listen, I did that because I didn't want him to peek through his clothes. But I had a toilet seat at home specially for him that every time it was time to do bathroom break, I put him on the toilet, trying to work with him so he could learn how to potty train. He didn't start that child care till 4 years old. So I have been working with him constantly. But you can't treat a child like they retarded and you don't know the full story. You know what I'm saying? You don't know the full story. But to get back to that social worker I seen that day, that's the only social worker I could say that did their job. Because he came out and investigated. He said that I was trying to work with Mello. He said that I was trying to think of all the options I could to help him learn. Because he even seen how my son know how to get on the Switch, Nintendo Switch, and get on YouTube and find different things he want to watch without help. You know what I'm saying? So he seen that I was working with him, and he said, ma'am, I'm going to close this case. He was like, I see that you are trying. And you see how these crooked CPS workers is trying to make a name for themselves. Soon as they get that call from CPS, here they come harassing. Not once think about investigating. Not once thinking about maybe, hey, let's investigate. They were just like, oh, she got history of losing 4 of her kids, so we're going to harass her. He came in like I was a criminal. This man called the police on me just because I said, look, I think I need a lawyer because you're not listening to me. I just told you he had got hurt there before, and my worker told me to document it until I could find somewhere else for him to go. Because had I known this was going to happen, I would have hired a damn nanny. At least I know my child was safe. At least I knew that I ain't have to worry about anything, because he got hurt at her place before, and she said it was a damn bee sting. How's them big ass knots on his head a bee sting? So I went to my worker that's over my case with the child care, and she told me to document everything until I can remove him, and I asked how to report it, and that's what I did. But yet but yet they sit here and harass me. And I have those recordings from Ebony Bellefield's boss. And you seen the video from my children letting you know how they got into childcare. So it's clear that Ebony Bellefield violated that safety order. She told a lie just to get it granted. Because even my kids told the truth also. It was my daughter's father, how they turned up in the care. It didn't have anything to do with me. Nothing to do with me. And she lied and get on the stand and say she was across the street from me and the subject dropping my children off when she was not. And it was my car. I don't have to have nobody in the car with me. I can drop off people myself. But you see how she lied? And the same judge, took her side and removed my children from me. So again, I would never be able to just be like, forget about try not to talk about my kids. I talk about my kids so that their story could be shared. I talk about my kids so people can see how these child protective services are being unfair to certain people, but then certain people that's hurting their kids and they actually turning up dead, nothing is happening to those parents. They don't jump in to save those children. But they try to make an example out of people if they have like a bunch of calls and stuff. That's being prejudiced to that parent. You didn't label me as a neglectful mother. You don't know me. You don't know me. And I love my kids with all my heart, man. All my heart. And just the fact that people would lie on you just to be mean, and the people don't even fully investigate. They just like, oh, this person can't be lying. Ain't nobody gonna call on you this many times. And my question to you is, how do you know? How do you know that I was not lied on? Huh? How do you know that I was not lied on? Were you there? Were you there? I believe I was the only one there when certain ones got upset because I wouldn't let them live in my home, and boom, that's where social worker Courtney come from. Then boom, I can't be alone with my kids. Then boom, all these other social. How the hell do you know? And get mad because I don't have to take medication because the doctor said the truth. I don't have to be on medication. You understand what I'm saying? And then you try to use, because I had got a check back when my mother was living, and you try to use that like I'm retarded. Because the judge Walker even said out of her mouth ever so rudely, I don't know how you not on that check because you need it. No, the hell I don't. I went to the doctor, like you said. I went to all the appointments. I even went to the domestic abuse, even though I sat here and told you that it really wasn't that. It was them starting shit because they wanted to live in my home. No, I'm not responsible for you. I'm responsible for my children. So if I'm saying you can't live in my house, you gonna call CPS about that? You gonna act like he was beating me down when you was the one trying to start fights between us so you could live in my damn house. And then I sent pictures of all the people that told these things to get this mess started in the first place, and nobody listens to me. Nobody listens. They just like, oh, she lying. She lying. How do you know? How do you know? You know how much hell you took my kids through? Do you know? I mean, taking them from home to home, them experiencing abuse, my daughter having to live in an institution because she wants to be with me and she runs away, and you can't even help her with a mother, sister-daughter program. You put her on medication that made her get huge. And then try to act like she can't eat anything because she might be a diabetic. So if she not full, she not allowed to get a second serving. You done lost your mind. And I'm going to make sure my kid's story get out there. I don't care how many videos I got to post. I don't care about nobody getting getting on anybody's nerves. I don't care, because y'all is wrong. Y'all setting parents up, but the parents that their kids need, and then making my kids think that I don't want them. I love them more than anything in this world. And that's why I was doing everything I had to do in that case, that I was required, because I was trying to get them back. But they was too busy trying to frame me from all the hearsay that they're calling evidence, calling me a neglective parent. I know that I'm not a perfect person, but I love my kids and I would never let any harm come to them. Unlike some of these parents out here carrying their kids in duffel bags, or some of these people selling their kids for drugs or selling them for money. Oh, y'all don't do nothing about those parents. Some of the kids turn up dead. Then one lady had the nerve to try to say something like that to me when they took my son Mello. Yeah, then you had this social worker that with my son Mello, they trying to frame me for him getting injured at the child care. They even admitted that it was no surveillance at her place. And I think I will remember how my son looked before I put him on that school bus. Some kind of van that she drives or whatever. Like, y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself. And then when I say I want to sue, they talking about, well, you probably can't sue the child care worker. You probably have to file a claim with defamation. I have to look that up. But that don't make sense. I should be able to sue her. She is the reason that my son has been removed, because they harassed me about my previous case with my other children. And I think she found out about that case and used it as leverage because ain't no way that they supposed to do that. Just come there and take somebody's child without proof, without evidence, and bring the police with you. I know this a lot to take in, a lot to process, but I'm trying to cover it as best as I can without jumping around so much. It's just so much that happened that I was trying to put as much as I can in this. But yeah, the police still have my evidence to this day. So it's like all of them was bashing me in that courtroom, making me feel less than nothing instead of focusing on, hey, that they saying happened at the child care. Let's prove this. If we can't prove this, give her child back. They on some crooked mess. They shouldn't even took my child in the first dang on place. Because I didn't do anything. I didn't do nothing. And nobody in my household did nothing. Because if he had a mark on his face, don't you think I would have known that? Don't you think I would have seen that? If he had got abused, don't you think I would have seen that? And as a parent, you know I'm going to do something. So that's how I know y'all lying. Because if I'm telling you I looked at my son if I put him on that van and his eyes was in perfectly good health, I know what the hell I'm talking about. You know? I do know. And it's like I've been trying to process that because it's like even the social worker was like trying to play my face. They take my evidence so I can't prove my case. And then when I take him to a neglecting clinic, they tell me, can we see the pictures of him looking right or looking in good health before this happened? I'm like, how I'm going to do that when the police have my evidence? And they was knowing that they couldn't prove anything. So they set me up. They knew that without my evidence, without my phones, my laptops, my tablets, it was no way for me to prove to that neglecting clinic that my son did not look like this before he went to school. And they knew that because she sat there behind me shaking her head about him coming back home to me, and I hadn't even done anything. You hear me? Kayla Dixon, Michael Laborde. I don't know what kind of stuff they got going on, but these social workers ain't no. That white guy that came out with the doctor, that was the only social worker that looked like he was trying to do his job. It looked like these other ones is throwing their weight around trying to frame parents. That's what it looks like. They ain't gonna question me about him being at the child care. How is you gonna take the child care side and everything? Like, it's none of your business why he was still there. Okay? The whole point is I let her know that, look, you need to be watching my child. No, I ain't let her know that it was temporarily, but I let her know, listen, he gonna be here. You need to be watching my child. But yes, on the low, I was looking for other child cares. Y'all know how that go. You gotta do an application and all of that stuff and view the property and see and all of that stuff if they have room anyway. And then you can move your child. So it's a process. So for that social worker to ask me some dumb mess like that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm documenting it. And I'm reporting when he got hurt in there. And I talked to the child care worker. So I was doing my part best I could until I could remove him. So how dare you question me? How dare you? You think I'm going to let somebody hurt my child on purpose? No. That's why I was reporting her. That's why I was documenting it until I could move him. So as you can see, my children have been through hell. My children have had to live separately, every last one of them. I even had to deal with one of the foster parents acting like When Deshaun would see me, he would have nightmares. I guess so she didn't want me to see him. That's my child. I don't care how much he call you mommy. That is my child. And just because they trying to frame me, you thinking it's okay to say something like that. What kind of mess is that? I don't know what kind of system y'all got going on. I really don't. But that's the reason I'm trying to get up the money for the lawyer. Because it seems like the only way. Now, I do know they said that the adoption for my other four is permanent, and that ripped my heart apart. Because I sat there and did all them services for nothing. They won't even let me see my children just because I had to work a job to provide for my youngest son. Jessica Davis was not even letting me see my kids just because I didn't have a date and time. Well, I couldn't do the date and time that she had at that time. She was not trying to work with me, none of that. And I would never turn my back on them. Never. So them making them think that I didn't want them, that really hurt. Because I wanted my kids more than anything in this world. That's the reason I was doing the services. And all they did was flip that around on me. Try to use me getting a check from my mother as a younger child as an excuse to act like I'm special, like in special ed. Trying to make me take these ridiculous tests instead of just saying, hey, maybe she was lied on. Maybe they did this out of spite because they was upset. You take one time where I was sick and use it for excuse. I have went past that. I no longer have anxiety attacks. You can't just go around and harass parents just because they had an incident before. I was sick then. That is different now. These people lied to y'all and y'all just took it like a grain of salt and like ruined my children's lives. Every last one of them even harassed me down to my fifth child because of all of this nonsense. And I do love my kids. I don't never want them to think that I don't love them. I don't never want them to think that I was trying to leave them in foster care. I tried to get you guys out of foster care. But Jessica Davis told the judge that nobody wanted to take y'all in. And now 4 of my children are adopted out. So I don't know what I can do about that point as far as other than setting up a trust fund. Yeah, other than setting up a trust fund for my other 4. That's all I could see to do about that. Because you know how much that hurt when they told me that my rights was terminated. And I did everything that was required to do for my rights to not be terminated. So I was basically lied to. Had me do all them services. And then when I go before Judge Walker, they wouldn't even give me another judge. They gave me the same judge that removed my other 4. When I went before her about that, she tried to act like she didn't get all my evidence. She gonna lie in my face. She gonna tell me that she didn't get all of my evidence. And Whitney McCray was my public defender at that time. How did you not get my evidence? How? You don't just adopt somebody's children out. You have me do all them services for absolutely nothing. So yeah, the next videos I might post is videos I was able to find of my kids. But this is their story. Because no child should have to experience this kind of life just because hearsay get to Child Protective Services. More than hearsay should be enough to take somebody's child. It need to be really something going on in that home for you to remove a child from their house. Not just because somebody called 27 times. Not just because somebody mad because they don't have nowhere to stay and they gonna say, oh, well, she was getting beat up by her boyfriend when they was doing stuff to basically, when they was doing stuff trying to get him and I to fight. Because I let him know, look, we let them stay here for like a week or so, they gotta go. Like, they taking up my kid's space. Because, my baby father had like a big heart. And like when he would see people like homeless or whatever, like his friends, he would try to let them crash for a little bit to get on their feet. But they try to make it as like it's a permanent thing, like they just gonna take over my house. And that shit ain't happening. Nah, you gotta go. I have a daughter. I have sons. You gotta go. But that's not a reason for CPS to take your children. That's crazy. If that one guy that investigated my case when I had got reported by that doctor and he was able to, that's how a social worker is supposed to be. They supposed to investigate the case. They not supposed to show up at your house like you a criminal. That last social worker called the police to my damn house just because I told him I want to get a lawyer because you not listening. And I removed him and I reported the child care for what happened to him. And they trying to blame me for a black eye that my son had got. If these bruises was so new, that mess, if it was so old saying that it happened in my house, it wouldn't have been fresh. That won't look fresh as hell. It was red marks around my son's eye, along with some dark marks underneath his eye. Like somebody punched him in his eye. And the neglect clinic ought to be ashamed of themselves. They talking about it looked like and the neglect clinic ought to be ashamed of themselves because they going to sit here and say it looked like the adult punched him in his eye. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? First, you trying to frame my household by saying that, do you have any pictures? Like, they knew that they ain't had no pictures. They knew I had no way to get it. But you sitting up here saying stuff like, it looked like this could have been happening in the next wee hours. Well, the next wee hours, he was already away from home. Because she came early in the morning to get my son. You know what I'm saying? Early. And like I said, you think I'm not going to notice that on my son's face if that really happened at my house? Are you for real? You got to be. How am I not going to notice a big-ass mark like this? It was on this side of his eye where it's red marks. Y'all seen my page? Y'all seen my page. And then I got people that was friends of the child care worker come writing stuff on my videos. Like, first of all, you need to stay out of my business. I have a right to post about my child where the child care lies on the parent, which is me, and try to act like I'm the one and I'm the reason that my son look like that, and it is not. So that's why I had to turn off my comments, because you had her little friends trying to come to my page, trying to start stuff, acting like, hey, they should take your child because he neglected. No, the hell they shouldn't. He was not neglected. He was learning. I was working with him, as I said, potty training, all of that. So that's a difference. So yeah, that's why I muted. That's why I turned off the comments, because I'm like, these people that lost their mind. They gonna get on my page like they know me, like they know my child, like they know my situation. No, I'm not taking the fall for something that happened to my child at your place of business. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care who friends with her. I don't care. You're not gonna frame me. You're not going to frame me for something that I did not do, or something didn't happen in my fucking home. You're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And then the her part being racist, that's not my concern at this point. My concern at this point is you trying to silence me from getting my son's story out there, while making it be known, hey, this happened at your place of business, and you trying to put it on my household. Well, this same judge that removed my other four out of bull crap, she still get on this case, and she thinking something is seriously wrong, so she have him removed and want nothing wrong. It was something wrong at where I picked at the child care. I shouldn't have picked that child care. That's what happened, because I ain't never had no problems with my son before he started this child care. And when I mean problems, I ain't never had to worry about him having no black eye or scrapes or any of that shit. So you think, no, you not finna frame me. So I don't care how many friends of yours get on my page. I'm going to stand up for my kids. And people trying to harass me over my other four getting adopted out. Yeah, that's a piece of mess right there. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself. My daughter had told me. My daughter tried not to cry to me, but she told me that she was afraid of Jessica Davis, and I was on Jessica Davis' ass. Because you not finna treat my daughter any kind of way. You're not. And then she told me how they forced her to say that she was raped by my baby father. She cried to me. She cried to me because she wanted to come home. That's why she was running away from every foster care they gave her. She wanted to come home to me. Me. And then y'all sit here and force her to say something that didn't even happen. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself. Because she told me herself out of her mouth. Y'all asked her over and over. Y'all repeated it different ways. Y'all badgered my daughter. Is what y'all did. Then tricked my other kids into saying stuff to win your case. That's what you did. But you don't say nothing about forcing my daughter to get on steroids because you don't want to deal with the fact that she ran away because she want to be with me. You don't say nothing about that. And you don't say nothing about acting like my daughter can't eat, like having second service because she's overweight and she could get diabetes. You don't say nothing about that. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself. Y'all ought to be ashamed. And then I try to get this judge recused off my case, and she just won't get off my case. I told them so many times I want to Judge Walker off my case. And they would never, them people in the courtroom would sit here and try to team up on me. Act like I'm slow. And I'm like, this right here. I should never got a public defender on my case. Like when this first happened with my other four. Because they didn't do their job. They didn't do their job at all. Because you see how the Judge Walker sit here and tell me while she dealing with my son's case now that she didn't get all my evidence. That is bullshit. I sent everything. I sent everything that I did what it is, and she didn't like the results. She didn't like that I didn't have to be on medication. Okay, that might be okay. But that's not a reason to take my children. That's not a reason to adopt them out to people when they could have been with their mother. And then I've been trying to get her recused off my case for so long. I've been filling out the form. And they double team me in there, like I said, try to act like I'm slow because I used to get a check when I was a child. Okay, I don't know why I was getting that. But you can't use that as a reason not to let somebody get their children. You can't use that. You can't double team up on somebody. Oh, well, we don't think you should be removed. We think you good for this. Yeah, because y'all trying to steal more kids. Because every time y'all steal a child and throw them in foster care, y'all get paid for that. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'all. So what kind of hustle is y'all on? But it's children out here dying because they not taking care of their kids. And y'all ain't getting those. Y'all ain't saving them kids. Y'all going after kids that don't need to be taken. And that's why I shouldn't have never got a public defender on my case, because I probably would have had a better chance of saving my kids, because they was not doing their job. They was taking my evidence but not doing shit with it. So yeah, like I said, I have a different phone now since the police officers took my phones, my tablets, and my laptop. So I might not even have any more videos of my kids. But if I can find some in my Google, I'm going to try to post it in their memory. Because I want them to know that they are never forgotten. Never forgotten. That's the reason I made this channel. They will never be forgotten, ever. As long as I'm breathing on this earth, they will never be forgotten. Even though, yeah, I am going to relocate. It's time for me to start over. I'm tired of CPS harassing me, the police not giving me my evidence, and the social workers frame me. Now, yeah, when I get to a good enough point where I can sue that child care, I'm definitely going to do it. Because I feel like the whole system needs to be sued. Not only the child care worker, but the police department too. Because they knew I needed that evidence to prove my case. And I spoke with a police officer that night when he was taking my son, when they granted him permission to take my child because they had custody. They had went and got custody of my son as soon as my grandfather said he was no longer able for us to live over there so Mello could stay there. So I got a lot to do. So in the meantime, that's why I told everybody at the public defender's office to stay away from me. Y'all did not do y'all job. You basically framed me. And basically taking the side of Child Protective Services without even knowing what happened. And I can't get with that. And trying to act like I'm slow and all that and all this stuff. And that don't have anything to do with this. This whole case right here was supposed to be to help my children. So I may not can do anything about my adopted kids, which I'm going to try to find out. But I was told nothing else can be done once they adopted. But my last child, yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to come off that 10,000. I'm gonna have to get that money from somewhere, and that's a shame. You can't even find no good, decent lawyers out here these days that'll help you get your kids if you got into a situation like this. They just want so much money like we rich, like we don't have bills and we don't have other things. Like, that's just really sad. But I know I'm not trusting another public defender ever again in my life.